And you have to accept.
Got it. Yep.
Okay. So I told you the book is directed at husbands whose wives have cancer.
Yep.
And so I'm looking for things that you did that you think were important. And I'm the last chapters will absolutely be directed to the kids.
Okay.
How to tell the kids, how to manage the kids through the
Yep.
process. So just go.
Okay. All right. So I'm very much like top down, right? And so I think the first thing that was helpful is to take stock of everything that's going on, right? Because you're both in shock. And so, she's processing her own health. You're processing how am I going to take care of everything to help her not have to focus on everything else. Okay. And so it certainly depends on the individual, but you've got to know the household backward and forward, right? And unfortunately, a lot of guys don't, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that they've got to take stock of. So I wrote a lot of notes down. I think the very first note that I wrote down was clear communication. There has to be communication on what's wanted, what's needed, all that kind of stuff. And the husband has to be a quick study on all things household. Or whatever the wife does that she's not going to be able to, right? Because again, it may not be managing the household as much as, like kids and schedules and that stuff, but it may be other things that she does on a regular basis, that she won't be able to the degree, especially in the beginning, right? If there's treatment, that kind of stuff. So and then expectations as well, right?
I like that. That word has not come up yet. Expectations.
Yeah. Well, and quite frankly, like it depending on the woman, right? But she may say, I can handle this, I'm okay. Right?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
And you need to take a step back for a minute and
Yeah.
focus on you. And that's really hard especially if she's a mom with younger kids, if she has a career, all that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
Like that's gonna be really hard for her to really be able to do. And the more the husband or spouse, right? Because it may be, wife as well, right? Like whoever that person is, could be just, someone who they live together, who knows, right? But whoever that person is, if there is a person, has to be able to allow them to just focus on themselves. They've got to take that off. So other things that I talked about is the things that must happen. Insurance, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the first things. And that's how you and I really got, to know each other.
And actually, also, that hasn't really come up yet. And I will even have an entire page regarding insurance. Don't assume you know what your insurance will do for you.
Yes.
Either one, contact your agent or contact your HR department and ask for an agent, not an HR person. Yes. Oh, I will definitely add that.
Yeah. They've got to know how it works, what works, and post Obamacare, right?
Yeah. Can they get out of it? Yeah.
Can they get out, in, shift, up, down, whatever they need to do? That has to be done ASAP on the front end. Okay. Appointments. Okay. There's going to be a lot of them, right? As you know. Who's going to them? What's the expectation? In my situation, we had 8 chemo treatments, right? I went to the first, I went to the second, and then there was a laundry list of women who wanted to help out. And at the end, I went to 1, 2, and by like 5 or 6, I'm the bad guy because I'm not going anymore.
Oh no.
But I thought that was okay because she wanted to go with these women who were willing to take her.
Yeah.
But you don't even care enough to come with me, right? So, and there's gonna be a lot of that. And
I will absolutely add that, because I'm talking to a lady right now who her and her husband don't get along well, and she complained to me that all her girlfriends are going to her chemo treatments. And now as you say that, I'm like, well, maybe he thinks that
that's what you want.
Needed. Yeah.
No, that's what I just want to give you what you want.
That's a big deal, Jared.
Guys, husbands just want to give what their wives want.
Make you happy.
Right? They will and so I don't like all things that Dr. Laura says, but she says that most guys will swim through shark-infested waters to bring you a lemonade.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the relationship's good, bad, or indifferent. they will swim through, we will swim through shark infested waters to bring you a lemonade.
Yeah.
I didn't go to chemo because that's what I thought she wanted.
Right.
I thought she wanted some girl time, which I get, and that's fine, and that's good and healthy and good, right? Whatever you want. And so it was a unclear communication and expectation that was not delivered.
Oh, that's going to be a really good one. Okay.
Right. And visitors as well.
Okay.
Do they, don't they? And where in the process are you? Are you through chemo and your hair's falling out and you don't have a wig you like, and do you want visitors to come by?
Yeah.
And you as the husband are the need to step into the gatekeeper position.
Yeah.
And it's not from a place of being mean or whatever, but you're the gatekeeper, but she's the one who makes that decision.
Yeah.
Right. It's like me and my secretaries, right? I make the decision on who I talk to, but they're gonna, manage the gate.
Okay.
So visitors, meals. We had meals coming through the front door faster and more food than we could handle. And I was literally like wanting a soup kitchen on the back door so I could feed the homeless, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how much food was coming through, and it was organized and it was amazing and it was wonderful. And I can even remember, at church, we have an opportunity to do like a testimony, right? Like once a month, you can get up and kind of share whatever, right? And I said, look, like I remember this very vividly, but I saw like a post that said, I don't need a casserole, I have cancer.
Yeah.
But as a dad, I was so grateful for that food coming through, because it was one less thing I had to manage with everything else.
Yeah.
Was the food but then her food was different than the kids' food and my food.
Yeah. So it's funny because for Sam and I just remember looking at him one day doing I just want our regular food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There
was so much
and like
food.
For the boys, they thought it was amazing because there was all this food coming in and dessert every night, da 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 da. But for Michelle, I just want my food.
Yeah. And
so I would make her food.
Okay.
And I would feed the kids with whatever was coming through the front door.
Seriously, there will be a chapter on casseroles.
So I had to man, and find that. I'm sure there's a meme somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't need casseroles, I have cancer, but maybe my family does.
But maybe my family does. Exactly.
So
I love that.
Husbands have to be able to also take, or whoever, right? I mean, have to also be able to manage themselves with all of this. How much can I handle? Because I have a buddy, and his wife was diagnosed a few months after Michelle was. 5 years she lived, and she passed away.
Wow.
Okay. He went from 190, 200 pounds to 310. Not healthy, really bad shape. Everything was horrible, right? Practically put himself into the morgue because of the stress, and he couldn't deal with it because he didn't take care of himself.
Yeah.
Right. And so now she passed, unfortunately, and it's 3 years or so past that, and he's remarried, and he's lost 100 pounds.
Oh, good for him.
Because he's finally in a healthy place.
Yes.
Right. Because his girls are old enough and they were little, and all this, right? So you have to, that's kind of what I said, the kids, as well as if the husband or whoever, the caretaker's not caring for themselves at some point, they're going to drive themselves into something as well. And now you got two people who can't care for each other.
Right.
And that's a mess. Okay. So other things that I put out there. So meals, lots of online tools, right? If people, because people are going to ask, how can I help? And you won't be able to know what to tell them.
Yeah.
But if there's one that okay, really good friend, organized, I need, people keep saying they want to bring meals. I need it scheduled out.
Right.
I need someone to champion that. I can't deal with that. I just need to know that it's coming, and I'll wash the dishes and I'll put it out for someone to pick up. Right. And so I had someone who they ran with that, and they found the tools and all that kind of the meal calendar or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And it was amazing. Outside support groups for the wife. Encourage her, right? Michelle's place, whatever it may be, right? To do those things so she's with other people who are going through what she is going through, to give her that support. Because you can't be that person that gets all the way to that.
Yeah. I love that.
And whether it's therapy or whatever, right? Yes, all of it. Okay. And you know that through Michelle's place for sure. Family, friends, etc. whatever, but make sure that there are not just someone bringing food over, but someone who will sit with and go to
Yes.
the appointments if she wants that.
Yeah.
And not go if she doesn't, right? Like
Yeah.
and I think the spirit of it is it will always shift and change, and you're not going to know, and you can't be a mind reader, either of you. So that's where
Yeah.
the communication has to
Oh,
come.
I like that. I'll add that. Shift and change. Okay.
So comfort. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
Surgeries, radiation, chemo, all of that is nasty, nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And so having a recliner, having beds and pillows, having, shower, bath things, that
Okay.
anything to make it more comfortable post-surgery, during chemo radiation. I'm just reading my notes. And like for me, like we didn't have a TV in our room. Guess what? I bought a big flat screen TV and I put
I
it in the
love
room.
this
She's
stuff,
on the
Jared.
bed for
Okay.
hours. And so
Yeah.
I went down and she's like, what's this? I'm like, look, you're going to be stuck in bed for a while. We both know that. So
Yeah.
here's a big TV that you can see from the bed because it was a long room.
Yeah.
And there you go. Right.
Yeah.
And again, shark infested waters to bring her a lemon. I would do it.
I love that. I mean, this is stuff in all the research I've done, all the other conversations I've had. This practical stuff has not come up. I love, okay, go on. You're the best.
Sorry. We rearranged some of the kitchen stuff because some of it was too high for her to get without getting on a stool, and she can't be reaching when she's got a double mastectomy.
Yeah.
No, it can't happen. Or whatever it is, right? So rearranging some places because she wanted to feel like she could take care of her kids and herself as well.
Yeah.
So what do I do to help that so that she's not always feeling like a burden?
Okay.
Because what woman, especially today, wants to feel like a burden?
Yeah.
Right? Like less than zero.
Yeah.
Okay. So give her the tools, help her with that to make it easier. And God, like we don't do this well. My dad taught me very well. You have to listen to what they're not saying. You have to or when they mention little things, just off the cuff, take note.
Yeah.
Right. I will say, like with Carmen and I, right? I listen. I've listened from the very, and she'll mention a little something and I'll do it. Where did that even come from? I'm like, well, you mentioned.
You said this is really critical because I look back on when I had cancer. You don't talk small talk when you have cancer.
No.
Because in the back of your head, you're like, am I going to survive? So the only stuff that comes out of the mouth is meaningful.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Okay, go on.
And so even if it seems inconsequential, there's meaning behind it.
Yeah.
And so how can you act on those things? You're not going to get everything perfect, but if you can pick up on little things here or there, act on it and make it happen. Okay. And that's the next thing that I had down. Impressions will come. For your kids, for your spouse, right? Those impressions will come. Act on them. It doesn't matter how silly it may seem. If you have an impression to do something, do it and do it quickly. Because then it'll go away and you're not going to get another one. Or you might start ignoring those impressions.
Well, and it's moved fast because in some cases time is extremely short and you just don't know it yet.
And again, you have a care team that is in charge of like her medical care, but you need to be in charge of everything else.
Yeah.
So that she has less things to worry and stress about.
Okay.
Right? Because that worry and stress is going to not help her heal, right? Won't help her heal as fast if she has more worry and stress and grief and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which she's got to deal with on top of, right?
Yeah.
So don't be an a-hole. Listen, but again, you're not going to be if you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where, let's see. So I don't want to be a bother. It's not a bother, right? Like, I don't know how many times you're not being a bother. I'm doing this. Like, just do it. Like, I'm going to take care of it. Right. And not because you can't, but because I'm going to do this because you don't need to.
Yeah.
You worry about it. Not, so there's got to be that kind of interchange.
Yeah.
Because they do want to be self-sufficient. Okay. So now I have some things for the guy, right? Or the caretaker. And it starts with, what are you doing to take care of yourself?
Okay.
Those also, remember I mentioned like impressions? Those impressions will come, and they'll come for me 6 months before the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I had a very clear and distinct, prompting voice, literally, that said, get to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm running half marathons. I'm healthy. I'm fine. Like what? Get to the gym. And so I started going 3 days a week, 4 days a week. By November, that was in July of 14. By November of 14, when she was diagnosed, I was at the gym 6 days a week on my own, 5 a.m. That's what I did. Right. And guess what? That was sacred time
Yeah.
because by 6 o'clock when I was going home, I had to get kids up, get them off to school, get her to appointments, try to work.
Yeah.
That was the only time I had in 24 hours was 5 a.m. at the gym
Yeah.
for me. The rest of the 23 hours was not for me.
Yeah.
So I had to, but I had that carved out space every day.
Yeah.
And that was me time. And I remember, and it was a little gym down in Temecula, like a little kind of private one. So there's just a few people there. But I remember one day I get finished with my workout, and I mean, my shirt from head to toe, I'm just drenched with sweat, right? And I like pull my earplugs out, and I'm just like heaving there, just sitting, sorry. And I turn around to leave, and
Oh.
everybody in the little gym is just,
Oh.
new, they knew what was going on. I mean, you kind of
Yeah.
talk and,
Yeah.
and some of them knew because they were some teachers of the kids and knew from school and, and it was literally like, so you have to, because you
Yeah.
can't deal with it if you don't,
Yeah.
right? It's like my buddy, like he about killed himself, quite frankly, because he
Yeah.
didn't take care of himself because he was so worried about his wife and his little girls.
And
Right?
I hear those stories all the time of I was so busy taking care of my mother, she was dying, that I haven't been to the doctor in 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And mom finally died, I can go to the doctor. Okay, wait,
Yeah.
that's
And
so
guess what? Now you
backwards.
have some
And
ailment
now
that,
you have a horrible chronic illness that
yeah.
could have been,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep.
I like
Yep.
that. Okay.
So whether it's, and I kind of have here like, you have limited hours to do it. You need new routines. You have to establish it. Self-love, advocacy, are they healthy and coping skills? Because there's a whole lot of unhealthy coping skills.
Yeah.
Food, addiction, alcohol, drug, whatever, right? Like it's not helpful. Like you need to be active and working out and, again, they don't have to do what I did, but something, right? And can you do it at a time that is appropriate? Sorry, dude, but your like Saturday afternoon golf game for 10 hours, 6 hours may not work anymore.
Yeah.
Like you have to be unselfish in it, but you still have to take care of you. That's why 5 a.m. worked for me. It may be 10 o'clock for some guy. And go down into the gym in the garage and work yourself to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's, and then sleep, exercise. What else did I put? What are your coping mechanisms? Therapy, men's groups. And I really feel like supporting others will help you support yourself, right?
Yeah.
So talking it and having that support group, because not only are you supporting yourself, but you're supporting others as well.
Yeah.
I think that's very circular in it. And then as far as the children, going down to kind of that level, and again, ages, right? It's very age dependent on what they need. So it's first on basic needs, get them to where they need to be, setting a carpool schedule, work with the people are going to come and want to help. Yeah. So when they say, how can I, this is what I need.
I need kids picked up.
Yeah. Like you're a neighbor and you take your kids to school. Can you take my kids with you?
Yeah. Please.
That will help me to be, right? Like it's just very practical stuff first. Okay. Yeah. And then after that, so Michelle's dad, okay, his mom also had breast cancer when he was like in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And he remembers not being able to go into mom's room.
Oh.
The dark hall that went to mom's room, you're not allowed down.
Okay.
Boys were welcome to be in her room, and as long as she was, dressed and not, exposed or whatever, right? But of course, be there, and we would play games on the bed, and we would talk, and she'd have one-on-one time with him. She couldn't, and then once she could go out, she would still have one-on-one time. So, but again, there's where that communication expectation is what are you comfortable with, and when along the process are you comfortable with it? Yeah. Right. But they never went to any appointments. because she didn't want him there when she's,
right.
undressing and in the middle of, like
Yeah,
reconstruction and surgeries and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So that worked really well for us, right?
Okay.
And even talking with them and keeping it an open subject, and mom's doing really well, but you know
Yeah,
that was, and again, we didn't have to deal with mortality,
yeah,
with her. That's I can't even imagine. And my buddy who I, mentioned, like, that's a whole nother thing.
yeah,
Um, and the aftermath of that, but at least these are kind of those support things. And there may be times when, yeah, mom's not feeling good. We need to just let mom rest and
yeah,
stuff. And other times when, hey, let's go get something and bring it back for mom. Let's go get a treat. And you
yeah,
know, and then I would get her, like, come, let's go for a drive. Get her
yeah,
out of the house as much as she could possibly go, especially in the
yeah,
early time, right? And it might be to just go pick up the kid, and the kid comes,
yeah,
but she wouldn't, like, want to get out of the car necessarily, but just like,
yeah,
let's, get her fresh air and drive around and that kind of
yeah,
stuff, right? And this is with a 34-year-old wife,
yeah,
right? Like, these are things that you might do with, like, your 90-year-old grandma who's on, right? Like, come
yeah,
on, grandma, let's go for a drive, right?
yeah,
But she was 34 with little kids, right?
yeah,
That's a very crazy, crazy way. But those are all things that we did and then I did. And honestly, I had to spearhead, and I had to tell you, you have to tell me if you need something. Like, I can't figure it all out. I don't know. And if I don't know what I don't know, I can't act on it.
yeah,
So you have to tell me. But then there were some really tough things, like with the chemo, right? Like,
yeah,
that broke my heart.
yeah,
But like, I thought I was, but I wasn't.
yeah,
And you better believe every single radiation I was there.
yeah,
It didn't matter. I didn't care. I'm like, no, too bad. I'm going. Like,
yeah. Well, I love that. That is so critical. Jared, you're just saying so many things that haven't come up yet.
good.
I'm like, my mind is already doing okay, authors are Jami McNeese and Jared Johnson.
No, no,
I
no.
mean, your
I don't
name's
need
gonna be
any.
on this big time. This is so much stuff that hasn't, and I mean, I've spent hours and hours not only researching on the internet, but I've spent hours and hours and hours doing other interviews of not just husbands, but also wives. And you're bringing up so much stuff that hasn't come up yet that's so critical. So, yay, you.
Good, good. Well, I'm privileged to be able to, be able to contribute in some, in small ways.
And
So,
and I know exactly what you're saying. It's if we could have not gone through it, that would have been fine. But what an honor it is to take that experience and to be able to help other people
so
with
help.
it.
Anytime I hear about anybody, I don't care what age they are, that their, wife is going through, I immediately go to the husband and say, hey, I've been through it. Let me know. I'm happy to talk. And most don't take me up on it. But those that do, I just, because it's
Yeah,
not fun. And
yeah,
you need support, and you need, I honestly, I'd love to do more stuff with Michelle's place, and if there's, opportunities or whatever.
yeah.
And actually, so and to speak of that, if are is that enough? Is that good? I don't really have any more for you.
That's
Okay.
my brain is exploding.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm
Good.
gonna like I said, in YouTube, I can upload this to YouTube and click on transcribe,
Awesome.
cut and paste that. I'm going to Idlewild this weekend, and I take my computer, and that's my.
Good.
There's nobody to. What is the word I want to use? There's no interruptions, and I can spend 2-3 hours cutting and pasting and moving, and
Good.
this is where. So that's what I did the last time I went. So
Awesome.
I'm already looking forward to
Good. Good.
working on it this weekend.
Good.
Yeah, you.
Hey, so I have a question, Michelle's place question for you.
Yeah.
I have a massage therapist that I know. I think she has a doctorate or is working on a doctorate in Asian body work, right? So she's legit. But she just went through kind of the cancer treatment training on how
Okay.
to give massage for cancer patients, whether it's lymphatic or otherwise, right?
Okay.
Because you got to be very careful. You can mess it up
Right.
if you just go to, like, any, massage place and you got lymphoma
Right.
or lymphedema or whatever.
Yeah.
But I said, hey, have you done anything with Michelle's place or talked about maybe doing like a little info thing on what you can and can't, what to be careful with, you know? And she's like, I would love to be able to do that where I can
Contact
give back.
information,
Is that
because
okay?
I could see this going in, you know, a couple of opportunities. One, for her to do a seminar,
Yeah,
live
like
seminar,
educational type.
where she says, okay, here are things that your husband can do for you at home. Here's, you know, here's what it would look like, you know, with a licensed massage therapist specializing in these.
Or even on yourself, right? Like
Or
depending
even
on
on
what's
yourself, exactly.
yeah.
Oh, I think that would be fabulous.
And what to be careful of. Don't let, you know,
Yeah.
don't do this because,
Yeah.
you know,
So,
that kind
and
of stuff.
it's, and you brought up the lymphatic system. So, you know, that, I mean, that's my whole thing. They took out 19 lymph nodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Michelle too. She had
yeah. And so I
resection.
just, fluid distributes itself differently with me.
Yep. Yep.
And so, and a couple of times I've been at a massage therapist and said, do you know how to do lymphatic massage? And they said, no, but I know it's a thing and it requires a special certification.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh, I would love
Yeah.
to get that. That would be really cool. Have her
Good.
contact me
I
or
will.
make
I
the
will.
connection for us.
Yep. Yep. Her name's Mariah. She's young, right? Like, but she's extremely intelligent and it's very passionate about it. And so, yeah. Okay. Good. Good. I love making those connections. So awesome, Jamie.
Very good.
Well,
Okay,
good.
I'm going to click start.